We all realize that the stories in the Torah in general, and same obviously with the story of our forefathers, they all have a deeper meaning, just a simplistic read of it. Let us try to understand this week's story, this week's Parsha story, the relationship between Yaakov and Yosef, the rivalry amongst the siblings. And what does all this mean? Torah starts telling us, Eile Todos Yaakov, these are the generations of Yaakov, and then starts telling all about the events of Yosef. Is this all the generations of Yaakov? Yaakov had 12 sons, had a daughter Dinah, with a huge life and a beautiful story. So why when it says this is the generation, these are the generations of Yaakov, focused on Yosef? Rashi tells us that there was a special relationship between Yaakov and Yosef in terms that they looked alike. Physically, similar to Yitzchak looking like his father Avraham, Yosef looked like Yaakov. Also events in their lives, such as Esau, Yaakov's brother, hated him and wanted to kill him. So too was the story with Yosef's brothers. They hated him and they wanted to kill him. Yaakov had a dream where he saw his mission, and Yosef was dreaming, and events unfolded due to his dreams. So there is a similarity, but obviously these similarities are more than just happenings. But let's go on. And the next verse, the Torah says, V'Yisrael ohav es Yosef mikol banav. And Israel, because as we know, Yaakov had two names. After having fought with the angel of Esau, he added a name to him. From Yaakov, he also added Israel, because you have battled man and godly angel, so to say, and you have overcome them all. So Yisrael, Oaves Yosef, Mikol Banav, Yisrael loved Yosef more than all his other sons, because he was the son of his old age. And then he made him a fine woolen coat. What does this mean? Yisrael represents Rosh. Yisrael represents the head. Yisrael represents the knowledge. And indeed, that's what it says. Ki ben zekunim huloi. He was his son of his old age. He had another son, Binyamin, even older. But what it means over here is zekunim zeh shekana chachma, the wisdom. Yisrael represents the head, the wisdom of Yaakov. Indeed, it is this wisdom that he transmitted mainly to Yosef. Yosef was the one who was mainly interested in the wisdom of Yaakov. And for that, he made them this coat of colors, the Kesoides Pasim. Now, let's understand one detail here, one concept, I should say. Yaakov in his dreams saw his mission. His mission is to fuse heaven and earth, the mundane and the divine, which is a continuation of this that Avraham Yitzchak started. And Yaakov sees his continuation of that mission is going to be through Yosef on a level which didn't exist before, where Yosef is going to have to face challenges that none of them have faced. As a 17-year-old lad, he was sold, he became a slave, he became a prisoner in Egypt, and then from rags to riches became the viceroy. This is all found in the word Kesoides Pasim. Pasim stands for Pei Potiphar, where he eventually ended up in Egypt. Samach, says Rashi, Soichrim, for the merchants who bought him. Who were those merchants? The Yishmaelim and the Midyanim, in the word Pasim. So those were the challenges that Yosef had. In Egypt, as a young man, not to succumb to the temptations of difficulties, the temptations of being just sold as a slave, and then the temptation of the house of Potiphar, and no more so the temptation when he became finally the viceroy in Egypt, although dressed in external colorful garments, not the simple garments of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but the garments of royalty, the Egyptian garments, Yosef stood fast and continued in that message of spreading godliness, even in places of adversity. Such adversity. So Yisrael Ohav as Yosef, he sees in Yosef his continuation. And therefore the word Pasim, says the Balaturim, Pasim corresponds to 190, which is the word Kate's redemption. Yaakov, generation, the future, which is about the whole Jewish community, is reflected in this relationship continuation of the mission from Avraham, Yosef, which ultimately takes us out of exile. This is what the Torah tells us. So may this materialize itself right now and ending the dream of exile.